live on Facebook. I am on Facebook. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. And let me introduce myself for those who do not know me. My name is Ifeoma Odunlmai. I'm an immigration attorney with the Odunlmai Law Firm in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey. My law firm serves clients in all 50 states. So today I have a really great topic. And the reason I chose this topic is because I've been getting a lot of people coming into my office for consultations, and we've been encountering this problem. And I want to make sure that you guys are aware of it so that you don't find yourself making this mistake. So I'm talking about naturalization, right? So I want to talk about the things that you could do that could prevent you from naturalizing, right? So I want us to listen carefully, share this video with anyone who you know is looking to naturalize. So first of all, what is naturalization? Naturalization is when you want to become a US citizen. You have a green card, either you've had it for 3 years if you're married to a US citizen, or you've had it for 5 years if, maybe you got it through other means. You would qualify to naturalize if you've had your green card for 3 years through marriage and you're still married to the person, right? The person who filed for you. And if that person is a spouse, right? If your relationship is not working anymore, then you have to wait for 5 years unless you're able to remove your conditions based on abuse or physical batteries, that kind of stuff. But typically, you can either become eligible to naturalize within 3 years or 5 years. So what I really want to talk about is for those who know that they're ready to naturalize, and then they they get their forms together and they're ready to put the application together. I want to talk about the things you need to be aware of, right? There's a component of naturalization called good moral character, right? Good moral character actually applies in a lot of immigration applications, right? It applies in VAWA, it applies in, certain other applications, right? Good moral character also applies for naturalization. So yes, you already have a green card and you're ready to naturalize and become a US citizen, but there's still a requirement that you have good moral character. So what is good moral character? Well, it means that the applicant has maintained the standards of a law-abiding society, right? Well, we all know that if you've committed a crime, that could be a problem for naturalization purposes, right? So I want to talk about the finer, the gray area where you're not aware that certain conduct may actually stop you from, maybe a temporary bar to naturalization. But first, let's talk about the permanent bars to naturalization, right? If you've committed an aggravated felony, such as murder or drug convictions, that is a permanent bar to naturalization. It is, all right? However, there are other crimes called like crimes involving moral turpitude, crimes involving moral turpitude is that area where sometimes you're not really sure what it is, but they say you'll know it when you see it. That's how it's said, right? So crimes involving moral turpitude could be a temporary bar for naturalization, right? And also petty crimes like stealing, um, you know, um, uh, you know, loitering, some arrest for some bad behavior. It could be a petty crime and could stop you temporarily from getting your naturalization. If you have any type of criminal background, any type of arrest, any type of conviction, you always want to talk to a lawyer, okay, before you move forward, because that doesn't mean that you won't naturalize, but you want to make sure that you can put in your application at that time, because USCIS has a 5-year look back period for certain conducts. Typically, they can really look back as long as they like, but 5 years is really what we look at closely. So let me talk about those behavior that you may not be aware may cause you may prevent you from getting your naturalization. The first one I'm going to talk about is unpaid taxes. This is the one that keeps showing up in my office, unpaid taxes. if you're going to naturalize, you need to show you've been paying your taxes. You filed your taxes and you've been paying your taxes, right? Now, if for some reason you owe USCIS, you owe the government money, and you're not able to pay them, you have to have been on a payment plan. So just because you owe money, that will not stop you from naturalizing, but not making payments is a problem. And if you decide to, like, if you haven't paid taxes for 3 years and then you want to naturalize and you pay everything at once before you put in your application, that's also not a sign of good moral character. It can be held against you. So I want you to understand that just because you decide to pay all the amount you owe just before you naturalize, it could still be held against you. So you really want to be consistent with filing your taxes and paying what you owe. Even if you can afford to pay everything, get into a payment plan. USCIS just needs to see that you're in a payment plan, really, okay? So the second thing is failure to support dependents, child support. Do you owe child support? If you owe child support, that could be a problem, and that could stop you from getting naturalized. Okay, so if you owe child support, you want to be making your payments, right? And it doesn't matter where you owe the child support. It could be here, it could be abroad. USCIS will look at the fact that you are not supporting your dependents, and sometimes even in the absence of a court-ordered child support, they may look at that. So you want to make sure that if you're ready to file for your naturalization, you've tidied up the child support issues, okay? Now, this is one that nobody knows much about because it's so weird, but adultery. If you're cheating on a spouse or you've caused another person's relationship, another person's marital relationship to break up, adultery could be viewed as not being a person of good moral character. Even though I can't even imagine how they're gonna figure this out. But just know this, that if you have been in an adulterous relationship, either as the person in the relationship in the marriage or an outsider that caused another relationship to break up, USCIS can look at that as being a problem for the good moral character portion of the naturalization requirement. And then of course there are other requirements such as if you're a habitual drunkard. Now how does that show up? It shows in multiple DUI arrests. That could be a problem. One DUI arrest is typically not a problem unless it's well, this is actually state dependent, unless it's you're caught in a school zone. But you want to know that if you're applying for naturalization, you want to, stay away from, being a habitual drunkard or getting multiple DUIs. Now, there are other things that you're going to need for naturalization, and one of them is selective service. Now, selective service requires males between 18 and 25 to register for with the government, right? And if you're in high school here, you wouldn't have you know to do that. But a lot of people come in between those ages, right? And they don't realize there's a requirement to register. And this requirement goes for even people who are not documented. Did you hear that? So even if you're an undocumented male, if you're in the United States, you have to register for selective service. So if you're 26 years old and you haven't registered, it's too late to register. So you're going to have to explain why you didn't register. And a good explanation will get you able to naturalize. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, because this issue has come up quite a bit, where a person has not paid their taxes, especially, right? Or paid everything just before application, and USCIS is like, no, we're not going to naturalize you because you haven't shown that you're a person of good moral character. So that's all I have to say today. I just wanted to come in real quick to do this live and put this information out there, so that if you or a family member or somebody you know is planning to naturalize, and there's any of these problems that we've talked about, they need to talk to a lawyer to make sure that their naturalization application goes through smoothly. And that's it, guys. I will be with you again in the next live. Take care.